What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for June 11th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Going to be a quicker one today because we're trying to figure out if we got to get out on the course before 8 o'clock. But hit the ball much better yesterday than I did the other day, so got that going for us. But Phillies update, all good things must come to an end. 6-game winning streak was snapped, 9-0 last night to the Dodgers. It's okay. Like I said, I'm ready to believe. I just need them to come out today and play well. Aaron Nola just had a dud. Nothing really went right. But again, you won 6 in a row. So let's see what today brings. And if they can somehow pull it off today, I will gladly jump back onto the bandwagon. Union also lost. It was definitely not the best day for our sports teams, 2-1. But again, they've been hot lately too, so the loss is not necessarily the end of the world. But today we are going to go back to 1985, June 11th, 1985, and talk a little bit about the Phillies. And the 85 Phillies were, I think, the definition of mediocrity. It was at its best then. They finished under 500. It was the first time since 1974. There were still some remnants hanging on from those glory days. Mike Schmidt, Maddox was on that team, Steve Carlton, but they were definitely a mediocre team at best, definitely an old team. But on this day, they put it all together. They beat the Mets 26-7, which is a score that sounds more like football than baseball. The Mets were a young team then. They were 1 year from winning the World Championship. But on this day, they turned back the hands of time. Mike Schmidt went 2 for 2 with a double and 2 RBIs. Rick Shue, 4 for 7 with a double, triple, and 2 RBIs. Glenn Wilson, 3 for 6, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. Juan Samuel, 5 for 7 with a double and a couple of stolen bases. But the man of the hour was Von Hayes. Yes, Mr. 5 for 1. He went 3 for 6, 6 RBIs, scored 4 runs, and became the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 home runs in the first inning. So they just kind of went out and killed it. We did do back, I guess it was at this point in October, but you can search it, a Back to the Future episode on Von Hayes and just that trade, Mr. 5 for 1. But on this day, he was worth every penny they paid. As the Phillies beat the Mets 26-7, but again, Mike Schmidt had a good day too. But Von Hayes went 3 for 6, had the 2 first inning home runs. They do not have any Von Hayes shirts on Philly Goat. However, you can go to Philly Goat and get all of your sports apparel needs. Complete it. It's Father's Day's coming up. They have so many good shirts. And I'm up here this weekend. I'm just talking about it. And a few people had heard of them, but like really going in and looking, and like especially people from all over, like Phillies fans. Like I'm up here with people from Florida, and they were really impressed with their site. So be sure to check out phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. All right, it is still rivalry month, and today's rival, we're going to take it back to football today and do the Washington Commanders. And you want to talk about a fierce rivalry, and this one goes back to 1934. The Commanders played in Boston. I will not say their former name, but the first game the Eagles and Commanders played was at Fenway Park. Washington does lead the all-time series 89, 83, and 6, but this is one of those hands-down geographic rivalries for sure, with D.C. just being right down 95. Surprisingly, in all the years that they have been a rival, they've only met one time in the postseason. That was 1990 when Washington won 20-6 in the wild card game at the Vet, and that was the game that Buddy Ryan pulled Randall for Jim McMahon and then put Randall back in, and just a missed opportunity for the Eagles, that playoff game. But some of the highlights, at least in my time from this rivalry, in 1989, Randall had that big comeback. They were down 30-14. He came back, ended up 5 touchdowns, 440 yards, which would have been like a fantasy football field day. Of course, the body bag game where the Eagles kept knocking out the Washington's quarterbacks. I think Brian Mitchell at one point ended up playing quarterback that day for Washington. There was the pepper spray game in 2002. There was also the Steve Spurrier game, the 37-7. Just annihilation of that team. And if you look at the GIFs where he does his lips like the Ducks, that was that game. I remember being down there, and they had to stop the game because people were throwing pepper. It's just a hot mess, but it was a good win for Donovan and the Eagles that day. Michael Vick had a field day down in Washington, the 59-28 game. Of course, there's the 2017 opening day game in which Carson Wentz kind of went off and started that team on the way to the Super Bowl run. Some of the guys that have played for both, bigger names, obviously Wentz, we mentioned McNabb, Deshaun Jackson, Brian Mitchell, Jeremiah Trotter, Sonny Jurgensen, even James Thrash played for the Washington team at some point. But I will say one of our fiercest interdivision rivals. But if I had to score this on our rivalry scale, I'm only going to give it a 4 out of 5 because it's hard. There's 2 other rivalries within the division that are much better, and it's hard to give the third best rivalry in the division a high score on here. So we'll give it a 4 out of 5 for the Washington Commanders. But again, I hate the other 2 teams in our division. Washington's kind of like, I don't necessarily, maybe because they haven't been good for so long. Now they have a new owner. Maybe they're going to get it back together, but we'll give them a 4 out of 5 for now. On this day, back in 1985, the Phillies beat the Mets 26-7. Von Hayes becoming the first person in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 home runs in the first inning. Phils look to bounce back today against the Dodgers to take the rubber match in that series. After winning 6 in a row, we'll take it, but go to phillygoat.com for all your sports apparel needs. Make sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery. It's going to be a beautiful day out here and nothing like hacking up the course again. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, I will see you when I see you.